Brothers and sisters, thanks for joining me tonight. There was a little story that happened yesterday where ABC News settled a small lawsuit with Trump, and I thought I'd like to talk about it. It's good to see that the weaponization of the justice system against President Trump, especially in New York, is finally unraveling. So let's talk about it. What did happen yesterday? According to Fox News, George Stephanopoulos and ABC apologized to Trump, are forced to pay $15 million to settle a defamation suit. Wow. ABC News will pay $15 million as a charitable contribution to a Trump Presidential Foundation and Museum. So I'm sure the president's library, when they build it, that's just a drop in the bucket, but still $15 million. Okay, let's read on. Or you know what? Let's watch this video.
Breaking news, ABC News and George Stephanopoulos have reached a settlement with President-elect Trump in his defamation lawsuit. The network agrees to pay $15 million as a charitable contribution to Trump's presidential library. ABC and Stephanopoulos will also issue statements of regret as an editor's note to the March 2024 article and television segment that prompted Trump to file the lawsuit earlier this year. Trump sued Stephanopoulos after he asserted in an interview that Trump was found, quote, liable for rape in a civil case, despite the fact that a jury actually determined Trump was liable for, quote, sexual abuse, which has a distinct definition under New York law.
Yeah, Fox was very careful with their words there. And I guess they need to be because the woman involved in this case has a history of suing people and winning. She won against Trump. But should she have? That's really the question. Good. This suit, just like all the others that people brought against Trump, and when I say people, liberal Democrats who mostly were politicians like Letitia James, Attorney General of New York, Fannie Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, they all ran on the platform of getting Trump. And so all this lawfare has really just been about doing anything to dirty Trump up and get him, because if they could, then maybe they could stop him from becoming president again. Well, they failed in that. So now that they've failed, I think what we'll see is all of these cases that are still pending will wind down because they're all very weak cases that I expect he's going to win all of them on appeal, even the ones that don't get just outright dropped because the cases are just so bad. This is a great example of what the liberal media loves to do. They'll get a guy like Stephanopoulos to say Trump raped a woman. And then all the other news stories will say, hey, look, ABC says Trump raped someone. And so they'll use that bogus story to corroborate the same story and kind of feed the machine. It's crazy. So that's why it's really good that people are out there in alternative media getting the facts out there. All right, so let's go on. Let's see what else the story says. I think they covered it pretty well up there. All right, so ABC News and its top anchor, George Stephanopoulos, have reached a settlement with Donald Trump in his defamation suit, paying him $15 million. And Stephanopoulos, it says their top anchor. Just to be clear, Stephanopoulos is a Democratic operative. He was a senior aide to Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton was president of the United States. So this guy definitely has an axe to grind. This guy is a lifelong Democrat who's going to do whatever he needs to do to help Democrats win. He's not an unbiased person in the media. Don't let them try to fool you with that. The settlement was publicly filed on Saturday, revealing the two parties have come to an agreement to avoid costly trial. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things here. It's costly trial, and it's going to make ABC look really bad. Disney owns ABC. And, to actually have a lawsuit filed by the sitting president, because by the time they wind this all up, Trump will be president. That's going to be super embarrassing for them. So even if Trump didn't win, because it is very hard in America to win a defamation lawsuit if you're a public figure, and it's really hard against the media. So media have protection in what they say, and a public figure can't get bigger than the president of the United States. So it would have been tough for Trump to win this, but it looks like ABC saw the writing on the wall and decided to say uncle. Additionally, the network will pay $1 million in Trump's attorney fees. Okay, so they're going to pony up $16 million. Very nice. Sounds like something Trump would do. Stephanopoulos and ABC News also have to issue statements of regret, as an editor's note at the bottom of the March 10th, 2024 online article about comments made this year that prompted Trump to file the lawsuit. The note reads, ABC News, George Stephanopoulos regrets statements regarding President Donald J. Trump made during interview by Stephanopoulos with Representative Nancy Mace on ABC's This Week on March 10th. Yeah, here's another story. I'm not going to read it, but the headline, ABC News, George Stephanopoulos inaccurately said Trump was found liable for rape 10 times, legal gurus said. Yeah, because he doubled down. He went on other shows and talked about it. He also Twittered it. But you can't say stuff like that if it's not true. We are pleased that the parties have reached an agreement to dismiss the lawsuit on the terms of the court filing, said ABC. After playing a clip of Mace discussing being a victim of rape, Stephanopoulos asked her, how do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw? You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape, Stephanopoulos said, alluding to the legal victory by Trump accuser E. Jean Carroll. Right on its face is an inaccurate statement. Stephanopoulos repeated the claim 10 times during his spat with Mace, despite the fact that a jury actually determined Trump was liable for sexual abuse, which has a distinct definition under the New York law. So under New York law, he was not found guilty of rape. He was found guilty of sexual abuse. And I know you might say that's splitting hairs, but we'll get to that in a little bit. After a federal jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse but not rape, Judge Lewis Kaplan wrote in a later ruling that just because Carroll failed to prove rape within the meaning of the New York penal law does not mean that she failed to prove Mr. Trump raped her, as many people would commonly understand the word rape. So this judge is also, again, a political operative, obviously, for making this statement. He was not found guilty of it under the law, but making this kind of statement is protected if you're the judge. He can write this in his rulings, and he can only be censured by the judicial system. There's no real recourse. So there is immunity for the judge's rulings in the U.S. I'm not a lawyer, by the way, but that's how I understand it. There's another story. Fetterman, the senator from New Jersey, or one of the two senators from New Jersey. Fetterman slams legal cases against Trump. Hunter Biden in First Truth Social posts. Cases were both bullshit. Fetterman is a Democrat, and he's very famously and publicly said after Trump was reelected that Biden should pardon Trump because all the cases are politically motivated. So you've got a sitting Democrat senator actually said that. So there's something going on here. I actually like this Fetterman guy. I hope he gets reelected, even if he is a Democrat. He actually seems like he's reasonable. Initially, Stephanopoulos was defiant in the face of Trump's lawsuit, telling CBS late night host Stephen Colbert, "Oh yeah, so that's a comedy show. They love Trump on that show, that he wouldn't be cowed out of doing my job because of a threat. Trump sued me because I used the word rape, even though a judge said that's in fact what did happen. We filed a motion to dismiss." The settlement came after U.S. Magistrate Judge Lisette M. Reed ordered Trump and Stephanopoulos on Friday to sit for depositions next week ahead of the December 24th deadline for defendants to file motions for summary judgment in order to avoid a trial. In his lawsuit against Stephanopoulos and ABC, Trump was represented by Florida attorneys Alejandro Brito and Richard Clue. I hope that's how you say it. The settlement with ABC was filed with the Southern District of Florida, where both parties agreed to the terms. The settlement comes after a string of legal victories for Trump and his legal team, coordinated by senior advisor Boris Epstein. Judge Tanya Chutkin recently granted special counsel Jack Smith's recent request to dismiss his case against Trump related to the 2020 election. Smith also tossed his appeal in the classified records case on Monday after a federal judge dismissed the charges altogether in July, ruling that he was unlawfully appointed as a special counsel. Those were, again, they were weak cases. They were going to be thrown out anyway on appeal, even if he was found guilty. And he might have been found guilty on the Chutkan case. She is in New York after all, and everybody in New York hates Trump. So I've seen some people say Trump could be found guilty of eating a ham sandwich in New York by a New York jury. They just don't like him that much. But is it right? No, it's not right. And on appeal, every one of the Trump cases was going to fall apart, whether they were dismissed or not. Yeah, so just a reminder, Stephanopoulos, again, was Bill Clinton's director of White House communications and a senior aide in Bill Clinton's inner circle. This man is not a unbiased reporter, as he's going to lead us to believe. And then the other cases in New York versus Trump, Judge Merchan granted Trump's request to file a motion to dismiss charges stemming from the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's case and remove the sentencing date for the president-elect from the schedule. This case is super weak. It was definitely going to be thrown out on appeal. The Supreme Court actually went back and said, hey, Judge Merchan, you allowed evidence into this case that isn't allowed under our ruling on presidential immunity. Go back and relook at this. Based on that alone, this case was going to go away. And it was weak on its face. And then here's another one. Trump is also suing CBS News for $10 billion in damages, stating the network practiced deceptive conduct for the purpose of election interference in its interview in October with Vice President Harris. Yeah, they edited the Vice President's words, and made it look like this was her actual uncut statements and portrayed it as such. And Trump said, no, that's actually election interference. And then these other ones, Tanya Chutkan one, that was going to be thrown out. And then the other one was already thrown out, the one on his classified documents, because everything Trump did on that one is similar to other presidents. They even found documents in Biden's garage next to his Corvette that he shouldn't have had from when he was vice president and senator. So all these lawsuits are crazy against Trump. And the E. Jean Carroll one that they just settled, this was going to be thrown out on appeal too. There's so many problems with this case. They couldn't criminally prosecute him. They just didn't think there was enough evidence to go after him for rape. Basically, this was all a memoir she wrote where she said that Trump had raped her back in the 90s. Well, I'll show you. Generally, in New York, there's a statute of limitations on crime, and it's usually 2 or 3 years. But they changed the law just before this Trump case was brought. For adult survivors in New York, the statute of limitations is normally 3 years. However, legislation was passed in 2019 that it could be up to 20 years. And then in New York City, there's no statute of limitations for civil cases. So it really looks like New York changed the law just so they could go after Trump. Just on that, I think his appeal would be fairly strong. And then really, they didn't have enough evidence to prove rape under New York law. And so that's why he got what he got. He ended up having a civil judgment against him for $5 million. And then he went out and he said something like, I don't know this woman, and other things, mean things about her. And she sued him again, and he lost in that one. And it went up to 83 million in a new lawsuit for defamation. He's appealing both of those. I expect he will probably win both of those appeals. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but there's really no real evidence that this ever happened, and it's so long ago, it's really hard to prove. But unfortunately for Trump, it's New York, and in a civil case, it's more like a preponderance of evidence standard. So if the individuals just think it's reasonable that he might have done this, that's good enough. And again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. It's not the higher standard in criminal cases of beyond a reasonable doubt, which That case was never brought. They were not able to make a criminal case against him. So again, it's very nice to see all the lawfare going away. All these cases will be dismissed. It's good to see that ABC either they knew there was a good chance they were going to lose this, or do you really want to have a fight with the sitting president he's going to be president for the next 4 years? He could make your life miserable, and it's going to make you look really bad, ABC, for saying these things and bring this all out into open court. So you know what? It's better probably to kiss the ring and bend the knee to Trump and try to make this all go away. Now going forward, I really hope that Trump will impanel a committee, or Congress impanels a committee that really looks hard into these politically motivated prosecutions of not just Trump, but any other conservatives, Republicans that the Democrats have gone after on these really flimsy political cases, as Fetterman said. That's my opinion also. And it is illegal in America to prosecute your political enemies. But the Biden Harris administration and other Democratic operatives across the country did it. They tried to keep Trump off the ballots in lots of places. So they did everything they could to weaponize the law against Trump to stop his reelection, but they failed. So now I hope he goes in and he investigates them all. And if crimes were committed, he prosecutes them. I hope he looks at the January 6th committee. And if crimes were committed, they prosecute them. I also do hope he gives a pardon to all the nonviolent January 6th offenders. Some of the people showed bad judgment and definitely walked through the Capitol, and it was probably a secure area and they probably weren't supposed to. But normally, I think that should be like a trespassing charge. Some of these people got 2, 3 years, and some of them are still serving it for walking around. Now, the violent ones, if you actually stole something or if you actually tore stuff up, then definitely you should face charges for sure. But after 2 years, I think time served is enough for any of the nonviolent people for sure. And that officer who shot Ashley Babbitt, I'm hoping they investigate that, because that man should definitely be charged. There was no reason for him to shoot an unarmed woman at a protest. All right. If you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. Hey, leave in the comments if I got anything wrong or if there's something else you'd like to see me do. Thanks. Bye.